India has the largest child population in the world. Each of these 400 million children represent the future. But for many, the odds are stacked against them. 4% of India's children never start school. 58% don't complete primary schools. And 90% don't complete school at all. Only 10% of India's children go on to higher education in colleges and universities. These statistics are especially dismal in the information age. Can the tools of technology help India's children reach for their dreams? Let's find out. Since independence, India has moved steadily towards progress. 7 decades later, it stands on the cusp between developing nation and a developed one. For India to push through its barriers, it will have to empower its people. One of the biggest tools of empowerment is education. However, the dream of achieving 100% literacy and quality education for all is still a distant one. India, especially in its villages and remote areas, lacks adequate infrastructure and trained teachers. There is some good news. In the last 10 years, school enrollment has gone up by almost 14%. More children are going to school. The question now is, with limited education resources, how can they receive quality education? The answer comes through Information and Communication Technology, or ICT. Today, the Internet is the largest source of information in the world. The most empowering feature of the World Wide Web is access. At the click of a button, we can use computers to find answers to just about all our inquiries. It begs the question, can some of our most underserved children have the same access to knowledge? This is the village school in Harohalli in Karnataka. But it's not what you'd picture when you hear the word school. Instead of a teacher at the head of the class, there's a screen. Instead of learning from a blackboard, children are watching lessons beamed into their classroom from Bangalore city, more than 40 kilometers away. Welcome to the world of distance learning. As the name implies, distance learning uses technology to spread quality education across vast distances. There was a time when distance learning tools like radio and television were used to teach lessons in areas that lacked proper schools or teachers. But today, things are very different. This is the virtual classroom. The teacher's lesson is recorded on video cameras in a studio in Bangalore. Real-time notes are scribbled on a touchpad, and they replace chalk and board. Textbook images are replaced with animations. All these innovations help difficult and complex concepts come alive, no matter where the student is.
I am able to learn much more from the television programs than I do in the classroom. It is better to view on the TV than on the board in the class. The experiment using flasks is very clearly shown on TV.
And these children aren't alone. There are 2 lakh more who benefit from lessons taught to them from Bangalore. How does it all happen? What technological marvel lies behind it all? In a word, EDUSAT. September 20th, 2004, Sriharikota. The Indian Space Research Organisation, or ISRO, launched the geosynchronous satellite launch vehicle or GSLV. On board the GSLV was an almost 2,000 kg satellite. Swiftly making its way past the Earth's atmosphere, the GSLV travelled nearly 36,000 kilometers away from Earth and placed the satellite in orbit. The satellite was called EDUSAT, and it would revolutionize Indian classrooms. EDUSAT had one job: to uplink school and college lessons from teaching end studios like the one in Bangalore and transmit them to classroom ends across 20 states of India. The teaching end has tools like computers, digital cameras, DVD players, and touchpads by which the lesson is created. For uploading the lesson to the satellite, teaching ends use modems, switches, and dish antennae. A single uplinked lesson can reach out to nearly 1,000 students. The classroom end is equipped to receive the lesson with dish antennae, modems, web cameras, mics, sound systems, and personal computers. Thanks to the EDUSAT, teachers sitting kilometers away from their students can share lectures, notes, and even pictures as multimedia files within seconds.
So the content is multimedia animated content. So that brings in some joyfulness in the students to learn more. We get the best teachers, we get them at one single place, get the content developed all together, work upon a single content, they develop the content, and one of the best delivery teachers deliver it from the studio.
ನಾನು ಹೇಳಿದ ಹಾಗೆ question tags ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು? ಅವು ಚಿಕ್ಕ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆಗಳು, ಎರಡೇ ಶಬ್ದ ಇರುತ್ತೆ.
This not only allows teachers to teach over distance, it also allows children to ask questions and clear doubts.
75% ಏನಾದರೂ ಅರ್ಥ ಆದರೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ
When we listen to the teacher, we can understand about 75% of it. Balance 25% we understand through animated teaching. In this way, we get 100%. The diagrams are drawn on the board, but in this we can see them as colorful animated pictures and diagrams, which is very helpful.
EDUSAT has transformed the way distance learning is done in India. Information and communication technologies have beamed in fresh hope for the children of this country. It is providing access to primary and secondary school education in even the most underserved regions. But what about those who aspire for higher studies or professional qualifications? The Indian Institute of Technology is one of India's top engineering colleges. The hallowed halls of its Mumbai campus educate some of India's brightest minds. Lakhs of students aspire to study at IIT, but less than 10,000 make it. For those who don't, getting taught by the best professors in the country is a luxury that's denied. But as one IIT professor realized, that needn't be the case.
This nation has 371 million Indians who are younger than 14 years of age. 106 million are younger than 6 years age. There is no way you can reach out to all these people if you keep building the brick and mortar conventional schools and colleges. You have to use whatever you have, but you have to buttress that. Technology is the only way to address this scale, retaining the quality.
Professor Deepak Pathak teaches at the Department of Computer Science and Engineering at IIT Mumbai. He takes regular classrooms, not just on campus, but also in recording studios.
Welcome to the first week of the T10KT workshop on effective mentoring of online students in computer programming. I hope by now you are registered and you have a login ID for the course Moodle as well as a login ID for the IIT Bombay X platform.
The professor contributes to an online education platform driven by the internet. It provides top quality courses for any student with access to the World Wide Web. The platform is inspired by MOOC, or Massive Open Online Courses, a concept developed by American universities like Harvard and MIT. The courses were designed by some of the best faculty and are available for free to thousands of students in any part of the world. All they need is an internet connection and a laptop. Keeping in mind the needs of Indian students, Professor Pathak took the MOOC model one step further. His team has designed an online learning platform that blends classroom teaching with online courses.
Yeah, and also we will be circulating the minutes of that meeting.
The course includes video lectures, online discussions and assignments, just like it is on MOOC.
Surveying, civil engineering.
But the difference here is that students can back up online learning with classroom sessions.
We in fact encourage teachers in the blended model to actually hold regular classes, except that instead of wasting time in delivering lectures, you spend time in discussing problem solutions, practice problems, discussion sessions and so on.
Online educational platforms like these throw open countless possibilities for furthering one's knowledge. One of India's biggest development goals is providing the right education to all students, not just in schools, but also young adults seeking higher education. That's where information and communication technology, or ICT, has taken great leaps in the last decade. By the turn of the new millennium, the buzzword in ICT was connectivity. Internet connectivity, to be precise. The more students were connected through the virtual world of cyberspace, the more educational resources they could get from the best universities and teachers, not just in India, but the globe. Instructional videos and lectures were now online across various professional and research fields. For this, India needed a strong internet network that would not just be fast, but also carry heavy files, like those accessed through YouTube.
If you really see today's world, the YouTube, which sounds like, just looking at movies or some kind of entertainment, has got a plethora of information on health, on various other engineering subjects. You just click on YouTube and you get a beautiful high definition picture for about, let's say, 5 minutes. Within 5 minutes, it enriches your knowledge to how to use that particular stuff. And more importantly, if you go to medical colleges, you will see that the YouTube is heavily used. Why? Because there are a number of operations, real-time operations, surgical stuff that is kept there with a high definition, high resolution. So when you look at that, if you have a small network, you will not be able to download that particular video file. Whereas if you have a huge bandwidth, you will be able to immediately look at it.
After the break, we take a look at one of India's most innovative networks that's connecting universities like never before. In 2009, India launched the National Knowledge Network, or NKN, to provide high-speed connectivity. The NKN is a state-of-the-art fiber optic network that offers high-speed connectivity and an ultra-high bandwidth to handle large volumes of online data that includes text, audio, and video.
This National Knowledge Network was basically created to cater to the demands of governance, demands of higher education, and basically the demands of scientific community. Now we have a National Knowledge Network which is multi-gigabit. It's pan-India. It goes up to the districts. Every state is covered except for islands like Andaman, Nicobar and Lakshadweep. We're trying to find out mechanism by which we can bring them together. Otherwise, if you see all the terrestrial places, everyone is connected, and that's connected with a scalable network.
Today, the NKN connects over 1,400 educational, science and technology institutes, with the number set to increase.
a common network backbone is there. So this backbone now can be used by all the communities, and these are major communities. So when you talk about institutes, you take about all IITs, talk about all NITs, talk about all IIMs, all central universities, state universities, agricultural universities. So you got a mix of all kinds of people. So the collaboration, which is the key for success in science, that's possible today.
So just how powerful is the backbone of NKN's connectivity? Let's compare it to an average home user of the internet who gets about 40 megabits per second or just about 0.005 gigabit per second. At its core, the NKN has a speed in multiples of 10 Gbps or gigabits per second, which means that as it fans out across India's institutes, students get speeds of at least 1 gigabit per second.
Today, if you see, the connectivity is taken for granted. So with the result, if you go and talk to any professor in a central university or IIT, he knows connectivity is there and the connectivity is scalable. So we started with, for instance, 1 gigabit for IIT Kharagpur or certain other IITs. And today, all of them have crossed more than 1.5. In fact, one of them has crossed 2.5. So we are just scaling it up to 10 gigs.
With such incredible speed and bandwidths that can handle mass amounts of data, the NKN also connects all its institutes to EDUSAT. Global knowledge networks like the GRID at CERN in Geneva, virtual labs where Indian students can access and remotely operate machines across the world, special online services like digital libraries, and of course, the NKN ties it in with the World Wide Web, all through a high-speed, seamless network. The NKN has control centers across India that are on duty 24/7. A typical control center monitors the network and makes sure everything is running smoothly. The control center also keeps a lookout for any glitches and it troubleshoots as soon as it shows up on screen. This task force is especially critical in today's day and age, when cybersecurity is an ever-increasing concern.
It's not like 30 years, 20 years back when a small virus breaks down and let's say or comes up in US, it takes about 24 to 30 hours to come to India. That was the time, about 25 years. Today, if something happens there, within few seconds it happens here. So you can see the impact on the network very fast because all are very well connected. So we have to be extremely agile to recognize that particular stuff. And that is why we created this control center. We have a SOC so that they can continuously monitor any kind of abnormalities and take the calls from users, help them out in their issues.
The result? Today, Indian students can safely and securely participate in big science like never before. Students from Jammu and Kashmir, Punjab and Ranchi can contribute to cutting-edge particle physics at the LHC. Material scientists can run experiments in labs across the world, all while sitting in India. Researchers can join the quest to decode Chandrayaan's findings, while budding engineers from different campuses of IIT can brainstorm over complex concepts.
The revolutionary thinking going beyond 2 megabits per second or 10 megabits per second has been achieved by NKN at a cost which is much economical for the government to really afford. And NKN in the world is one of the biggest research education network in the whole world.
ICT has brought about a sea change in how we perceive a school, a college or university. It has provided access like never before. But for education to truly empower, it must be about more than just access. It must be about high quality. So how is ICT ensuring high standards of education for our children? Join us after the break to know. Classrooms like these represent the future of India. Not just because these children will be the citizens of tomorrow, but because they hold in their hands the tools of education in the future. These tablet devices are powered by touch screen technology. They are so simple to use that even small children or those unfamiliar with computers can interface with them. With just a light pressure, we now have information literally at our fingertips. Most touch screens have a flexible upper layer, which is a good conductor of electricity. Just below it is an insulating layer that acts as a spacer. Then there is a layer of conducting glass. When we press the screen, the two conducting layers are connected, completing a circuit that sends electric impulses to the computer. This simple idea is the cornerstone to interactive teaching lessons.
We need to learn some new things, so we need technology. MS teaches on the board, and in tabs it is interesting because we know how to operate it. We can learn from it. It is different from lessons which teacher teaches.
In a classroom of 60 children or 40 children, the teacher does not know every child's level. So the role that we see technology playing is being able to collect that data. So when every child moves to a technology station and is doing a test or is doing a video, there's some amount of data on how they've learned that we can capture and help guide that process of differentiated learning and differentiated instructions.
Technology tools aren't just helping the children, they are enhancing teacher training too. When it comes to education, there may be no replacement for the classroom or teachers. But the traditional ways are slowly transforming. With ICT as the ideal teaching aid, India can look forward to empowering its next generation with the most important tool of all, quality education. Please send your suggestions and comments to Vigyan Prasar, A50 Institutional Area, Sector 62, Noida, 201309. You can also email us at info@vigyanprasar.gov.in.